Good evening. My name is Angela Belford, and I am the Executive Director with the Fayetteville Housing Authority. And tonight we are having a meeting about the potential opportunities that Fayetteville Housing Authority has for a moving to work program. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So the Fayetteville Housing Authority today, in addition to myself, we also have Victoria Dempsey, who's our Director of Vouchers and Supportive Services. We have Melissa Terry, who's on our Board of Commissioners, joining us as well this evening. Oops. So first of all, let's talk about what Moving to Work is. Moving to Work is a demonstration program that allows PHAs, that's public housing authorities, to design and test innovative, locally designed initiatives. Moving to Work PHAs are granted exemptions from certain public housing and housing choice voucher rules. One of the most frequently asked questions we've gotten over the last few weeks since we sent our notice to our residents is, would people that are elderly or disabled ever have work requirements? And the answer is no. And what I found is that if I can start with that, then it's easier to listen because people understand that they are, that part isn't going to apply, but there's still some great benefits for people, even if you are not work able. So just a little bit of background. In 1996, the Appropriations Act authorized 30 public housing authorities to participate in Moving to Work, which is MTW. Since 1996, Congress has authorized some additional Moving to Work agencies through different appropriation acts. Currently, there are 39 MTW agencies that are representing small and large PHAs in urban and rural communities. In 2017, these agencies received about $4 billion in federal assistance, which is 17% of the public housing and voucher program's overall funding. And MTW PHAs represent about 14% of the nation's public housing and voucher stock. MTW expansion came about 10 years after that initial demonstration in the 2016 Appropriations Act, where Congress said this is going very well and we want to authorize an additional 100 PHAs. When they did this, they said we want to add them in different cohorts by size and geography. And each PHA that's part of this expansion has to work with a research advisory committee to see what policies that we have implemented and to identify whether those policies have been successful or not successful. When you think about the idea of being able to try new things, then one of the things that our agency has to be prepared for is that we may actually, things may not be successful. So there may be things we try that don't work, and that's something that we have to continuously evaluate. For the expansion, the PHAs had to be high performers, and they had to represent a geographic diversity because a lot of the first 39 were out on the coast, and so they wanted some in middle America. And from 2016, HUD had 7 years to be able to identify those next 100 PHAs. For Fayetteville Housing Authority, FHA, we actually applied to be a Moving to Work agency in May of 2019, and we were notified in August 28th of 2020 that we had been selected. So it's quite a long time for us to wait between our application and our acceptance into the program. And then from there, it moves very quickly because as long as the application is filled out correctly and we meet all of the notification requirements and we turn that in by December 4th, then we will become a Moving to Work agency. The statutory objectives of Moving to Work, and statutory objectives is just a really college level way and, you know, a very government way of saying, what are the goals that we have for this, this program? And so those goals are cost effectiveness. We must reduce cost and achieve greater cost effectiveness in federal expenditures. So sounds great, but why don't we have programs that spend our tax dollars more wisely? The next one would be self-sufficiency, and we want to give incentives to families to find employment and become self-sufficient. And the third objective is housing choice. We want to increase housing choices for our low-income families that we serve. The MTW funding, what it does is it permits our PHA to use our public housing operating money, capital funds, and housing choice voucher funds interchangeably. Right now, those three buckets of money are very segmented. And so this will open those funds up so that we can use them much more flexibly. And we are required to serve substantially the same number of families as would have been served had the funding amounts not been combined. So for instance, our housing choice voucher program has approximately 600 vouchers. I'm sorry, I say 600. We have about 475 housing choice vouchers. We have 125 that are specifically for veterans. Those don't count. And then we have 196 public housing units. So we'll still need to serve right at 575 families, no matter what decisions we make with this funding. Some examples of the MTW flexibility are under the cost savings. We can use the MTW funds to leverage other funds. For instance, sometimes when you're putting together a housing development, it may be short a little bit, or there may be a need for some money in advance of the project getting funded. So these MTW funds, or the funds within an agency, can be used more creatively to leverage and get other funding sources. Another cost saving would be streamlining HUD processes. So if we can make it simpler for our housing specialists to process applications and process your paperwork, then that will save us money. Simplification of rent calculations. All of our housing specialists are very skilled at rent calculation. It is pretty complex what is allowed for deductions and what is counted for income and what is deducted for income. And we can streamline and simplify that, which will achieve greater efficiency. Under self-sufficiency, some examples might be linking rental assistance with supportive services. So our board was very forward-thinking last year, and they allowed us to use some of our reserve funding to be able to add a social worker to our staff. And so he has already begun to provide those supportive services, and this could allow us to expand that program. They could be earned income exclusions. So for instance, right now, as you make more money, then your rent goes up, and it may be that you want to, we may want to allow people to earn that money for a longer period of time before it affects their rent. You could also have some self-sufficiency and employment requirements. So a lot of moving to work agencies require that their folks that are non-elderly and non-disabled actually work a minimum number of hours, and not for the purpose of penalizing people, but really for the purpose of building dignity and respect. Because when we all make a contribution to society and we can be self-sufficient, then we're going to feel better about ourselves, and it's going to give us an opportunity to meaningfully contribute and be stronger in the long term. Now, also increasing housing choice. Some MTW agencies develop mixed income or tax credit properties and other forms of affordable housing. As you have seen, our board is forward thinking in this area, and we've been doing this work very creatively without a lot of funding. So this will give us some different flexibility. We could also develop a sponsor-based voucher program to assist homeless and other at-risk groups. There were in my research, a lot of discussion around helping youth, especially those that have aged out of the foster care system, or youth that maybe have been kicked out of their home due to choices in lifestyle with LGBTQ. And then also encouraging moves to opportunity areas. I'll speak again about our board and the forward thinking, in that we have already been doing this with our recent increased payment standards for those voucher holders that would like to live in 72704. We found that that is a higher opportunity zone in Fayetteville, and so we want to make sure that our voucher holders have an opportunity to live in areas that are going to give them increased opportunity. Some of the benefits of moving to work for PHAs is the ability to create policies that address your local needs. Obviously, you know, Fayetteville is a unique place with us being really close to Walmart home office and also home of the university. I found one moving to work agency that had actually partnered with their local college and had provided housing assistance for homeless youth that were trying to go to school. The authority to waive statutory and regulatory barriers. You have an opportunity to rethink your current administration of our housing choice voucher and public housing. The most benefit, I think, is that we become an industry leader and get to lead some of the most cutting edge work in the nation, and the greater ability to partner, leverage, and create local, non-traditional housing programs. The vision for the MTW expansion is to learn from MTW interventions in order to improve the delivery of federally assisted housing, and also to promote self-sufficiency for low-income families across the nation. The guiding principles are to simplify, learn, and then apply the work. So now I wanted to direct your attention, and I'm really thankful that all of you could be here. The potential MTW client programs that we could consider if we receive feedback that these are interesting to our residents would be develop a self-sufficiency program. So as your income goes up, a portion of the higher rent could be banked for a down payment on a house. We found one agency that had also used it as a savings account that could be used for automobile repairs or even getting transportation. For people that are on a fixed income, instead of doing that recertification paperwork every single year, we could move to where that paperwork is required every other year. We could incorporate job training programs to assist our residents to help them earn more money. One program we found had offered, if they did that down payment on a house or that savings account, that they had actually incorporated some bonuses, so that if you got your DED, for instance, you might get a bonus in your savings account, and went through programs to be able to help incentivize people to really be able to improve their lives. We could offer childcare assistance to allow residents to be able to work. We could simplify medical deductions. I know it's a lot right now for residents to be able to gather all of their medical deductions and all of their receipts and make sure they remember to bring those at their recertifications. We could also report good rental history to credit bureaus. In this day and time, credit reports are such an important part of being able to function well in society. Everything from buying a home to your car insurance is impacted by your credit report. Your ability to even lease stable housing sometimes is tied to your credit report. And so if we could use the rental history in our public housing or even our non-subsidized properties and report that good rental history to credit bureaus, it could help our clients be able to improve their credit history just by doing what they're already doing, which is paying their rent every month. So at this point, that's the end of my official presentation. As I said, I want to be very careful with everyone's time, but I want to open it up because the purpose of having a resident meeting is to be able to hear from you all that are participants in the program and see which of these programs seems interesting to you. Maybe things that would apply to you that sound like they would really benefit you, or perhaps if it doesn't apply to you, perhaps your daughter or your sister or someone that you know that we're looking for great ideas at this point. It doesn't have to just apply to you. So I see a phone number for 200-1892. Is that you, Jen? Nope.
Angela, can you hear me?
Yes.
Somehow I doubled in. That's my cell phone.
Oh, I see.
This
Okay.
is Victoria.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. That's fine. Okay. Sorry, I just announce your cell phone number on on the Zoom recording.
Not a problem.
Okay. All right, so I want to open it up to Mary, Linda, or another board member. Lucky has joined us. We'd love to hear what you guys think of this program and these opportunities.
Has there been any feedback from the earlier meeting or in other types of responses so far?
Yeah, so I think reassuring people that those on fixed income or those that are disabled and elderly won't have to work has been the biggest question that we've answered for everyone, and which I covered on the first slide. And then beyond that, we talked a bit about the access to internet in our earlier call about how that could potentially be a barrier to employment, is actually not being able to apply or, be able to fill out applications online, get your email in a timely manner, that sort of thing. So access to internet was mentioned in the earlier session as a barrier to employment that we could possibly help with.
Hey, Angela, this is Melissa. I just had a question about the first bullet point in the last slide that's still up. Could you talk a little bit about the rent-to-own opportunities?
Yes. Well, can you elaborate on the question?
Yeah, so I'm just reading this. It says self-sufficiency program. As income goes up, a portion of the higher rent could be banked for a down payment on a house. Could you elaborate on that? Oh,
yes. Yes. When you said rent to own, my brain sort of fried out. Sorry. Yeah, so most of the time when you, there's a program in HUD that I think we talked about in board meetings called the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. And kind of what the idea is that you would, when you enter the program, it would identify what your current income is. And let's say that it's $1,000 a month. And so your rent would be approximately 30% of that. And so it would be $300 a month. And let's say that then you were able to complete a job training program and you were able to get a better paying job so that your monthly income was $2,000 a month. Their family self-sufficiency programs, or a self-sufficiency program that we could create, would take the difference between that $300 and the additional $600 that you would now owe in rent, 30% of your $2,000, and they could actually put that into a savings account. And so that would really incentivize folks to continue to make more money, because it won't feel like they're being penalized that, oh, well, as soon as I make more money, then it costs me more money. It would still cost them more money, because the idea is that it gets them accustomed to paying a rent that is more in line with their current income, but it also incentivizes, because that additional money goes back to them in the form that could help them with the down payment.
Cool, thank you.
You bet. Mary, what do you think of this?
Well, I think it's it's I mean, you're making extra for a down payment for a house, and I think you answered that question.
Okay, good.
That we wanted to hear.
Awesome. Was there any of the other ideas that seemed like they would be helpful to you or someone you know?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Miss Linda?
Okay.
Very impressive to me, very impressive.
I was thinking of you with the simplifying medical deductions and keeping your life easy with paperwork. I thought you would really like that,
really
and the
is.
recertification.
And those emails to y'all, I've really got to monitor that. I'm really bad about constantly emailing but it's so much easier
Hey,
than interfering with phone calls and
hi,
constantly
sweetie.
coming to the office. And I'm really impressed with this
I don't know,
entire
low that I can
program.
hear.
Well, we're not worried about that. That's not why I pointed that out. Is there anybody else that has any additional questions?
She's talking. Yes.
Okay. Well, no one has any additional questions or comments, then I want to let you get back to your evening. We will be posting a recording, and what we may do, just so that different folks that have been participating aren't necessarily on the permanent recording with the public, what we'll probably do is record this for everyone, and then we'll pose the questions that you all have asked. Tanner, did you have one?
I do have one question. Sorry to jump in here at the very
I love
end.
it.
You know, I do work for Roush Coleman, and that last program you talked about, kind of the rent-to-own situation, I mean, it's never really been brought up to us. Will there be any sort of like a round table or anything as far as to get, I mean, maybe to get buy-in from builders when it comes to that? Or they also have a rental division, so they have a bunch of rental homes that we could probably talk to about it.
I think that's a great idea. We've talked a lot about how we can work with landlords, but this is perfect reason why we have these conversations, is because all these brains are better than one. So yeah, being able to work with the different builders that are looking for even a portion of their portfolio that they might be able to use to help be able to help with our self-sufficiency would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, because they're not technically out looking for it, because again, I mean, no one's ever, I guess, connected the two dots with them. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity to do that.
I do as well. That's a great, thank you so much for that. Good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, we are also on our website, FayettevilleHousingAuthority.org/MTW is where we'll be posting this recording. We'll also post a feedback form. So if there are other things that once you have a chance to digest this, if you have other ideas or you wanted to give feedback on the ideas that we shared, we'd be happy to receive those. And if you have nothing further, thanks so much for joining us, and you guys can have a great evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.